Now that we can create some basic routes here, the next step that we're going to do is we're going to begin using some HTML and create some HTML pages that we can then render via Flask. Now, whereas with a regular route, we could quite easily enter all of the content that we could possibly ever want right here, and this return would return it there and it would be good to go. That's going to become really unwieldy very quickly when you think about how much content is on a particular page. Alright, so HTML is what we're going to be using in order to build it, build pages that we want elsewhere, and then have Flask pull those pages in and render them. So there's a little bit of arranging that we need to do here. The first thing that we want to do is we want to right click on our Flask parent folder here, and we want to say new directory. We want to create a directory here called templates. Templates is going to hold all of our HTML pages, so like our home page, our base page, our index page, anything else we happen to have here. As well as creating templates folder, we're also going to right click on Flask again and go new directory, and this one we're going to call static. Static would be where we hold static files such as images, etc., or even our CSS or some JavaScript if we wanted to get that far. Now that we've got our basic structure here, we're going to create a basic HTML homepage. To do that, we're going to right click on templates, we're going to say new, and this time we're going to say new HTML file, and we're going to call this one home. PyCharm handily creates the bare bones structure for this, so if I were to run this page itself, which I apparently can't do, then it would just pump out a basic HTML page that could be rendered quite easily in Chrome. So we're going to go about adding a little bit of content here. It's not going to be very much. We're going to begin by editing the title. I'm going to call this homepage, and we're going to just add a h1 tag here that is, this is the homepage. Beneath that, we're going to add a h2 tag saying this is going to be very exciting. Just so then we have some raw content here. So we've got this page, this home page. We now need to make sure that our Flask app is going to look for this page and then go about drawing on it, pulling it in and displaying it to our user. Now, whereas before we had this return hello world, we're going to get rid of everything within the inverted commas and including the inverted commas. And what we want to do is we want to render this template. The way that we do that is we pull in an extra function from Flask. So I'm going to click it back up here and under from Flask import Flask. I'm going to add a comma here and add render template. What render template does is it pulls in a HTML page and displays it to the user in lieu of some sort of static text here that we would have available. So after return, I'm going to add render template. I'm going to open and close brackets. I'm going to open and close inverted commas, and I'm going to now name my page, and it's home.html. And you'll see that it does live here under templates. It will know to be pulling in home.html from the templates folder. So what does this look like? Let's see. If I now go right click run starter and then go to my local host as before, I see now that instead of it just being generic text as I had previously, I now have content here in my HTML. I still have my old route here, my index page, which was this one here that is just returning some generic static text, but now I can go about returning this render template. It also helps to make your text and your program more modular, because now anytime we want to edit our home page, we can do it all in here. So what else can we add here? Well, I presume at this stage that you will have done something that you'll be basic familiar with HTML. If you're at all unfamiliar, a really great starting point would be W3 Schools, which will go through all of the content that you need in order to create some HTML pages here. We're going to just borrow a couple of the content that they have here. So some of the things that we might want to use is drawing in a table. So W3 Schools, using their structure to learn what they do with their tables, what we can do is we could take this and we can say copy this, and now I can paste it in here and hit enter. And now when I go about rerunning my starter, stop and rerun and go to my home page, you'll see that I now have a table here. None of it looks very good because we don't have any CSS yet, but just as long as we can see some basics here for adding some HTML content. Back here under W3 Schools, some other things that I might want to include are some lists. So I've got ordered list and unordered list. I might grab an ordered list, so I'm just going to scroll down here and I'm going to take this, and I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to paste it into here. I'm going to hit Control S just to save, and I'm going to rerun my starter, stop and rerun, and you'll see each time I do this I'm adding extra content here into my HTML page. As you can imagine, this would be the building block for a much larger program. As soon as we get content here in our HTML, here in our HTML templates, we can begin building anything that we would so want.